All right. People who really want to have a good time won't come to a slaughterhouse. And we've got entirely too many troublemakers here. Too many 40-year-old adolescents, felons, power drinkers, and trustees of modern chemistry. It's going to change. Be nice.
That ain't working.
I want you to be nice.
That ain't working.
And you'll both be nice.
So much as my wife was a giant. But
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
no, I'm pretty sure that's the way you do it.
The Rees Company.
Crack open its epigenesis, watch the pictures as they travel through your neighbor's Wi-Fi. It's the Rees Company. I'm Steve Rees, the bull of American broadcasting, alongside the great Chris Morganti. And welcome to our latest episode. It's going to be a different episode tonight, huh, Chris?
Yeah, no movie of the week.
Right. Instead, we have new info regarding the film we discussed last time.
Yeah.
And also, a little later on, we're going to take a look back at a segment from our old show, the Passive Aggressive Hour. A segment on which I guess we also have new information regarding its content, if that's how you want
to. I don't know. I mean, we did a lot of good shows there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know why we chose this one to go back to.
I can tell you why, because last week after the show, we were talking about this episode, and we both decided that it was one that maybe we should look back on.
Yeah, I don't know.
And share with the new audience.
I don't know how we reached that conclusion or why, but here we are.
Well, we got there early.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, so shall we talk about Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah.
Acclaimed film director.
Yeah.
Now, where are you with him? I understand you're not a huge fan.
Well, there's an update on that as well. I looked at him. I enjoyed Pulp Fiction when I first saw it in the theaters. I watched his subsequent movies, and I didn't really like his style that much. He's kind of like Pink Floyd or like Whitney Houston or something to me. Like, I recognize that they're great and a lot of people like them, but my personal taste is not. But last I watched the movie that we're about to talk about and completely changed my mind.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that movie in a couple of minutes, but first I want to point out that in a 1994 interview with Empire magazine, Tarantino said, "I steal from every single movie ever made." And various critics and cinephiles over the years have picked up on it. In fact, for some, it's become kind of a game. You see the new Tarantino film and try to pick out the references to the films of the past that he's paying quote-unquote tribute to.
Yeah.
Usually these thefts, they're mainly visual and serve as homages to landmark films from his favorite genres, specifically spaghetti westerns, French New Wave, Hong Kong action films, right, Japanese samurai movies. But he didn't limit his statement to those forms of cinema when he said, "I steal from every single movie ever made." Might, Chris, he have stolen from a TV film as well?
Well, it's certainly possible.
It is possible, and it may even be one we've discussed on our program.
Like last week?
Like last week. In 2021, Tarantino appeared on a podcast called Pure Cinema. He had this to say about the 1982 made-for-TV film Hotline, starring Linda Carter, which we reviewed last time. Let's hear this exchange.
Hotline. Now, was this one you were familiar with, a fan of? What was your position on Hotline?
Well, the thing about Hotline that cracked me up that you brought it up is because I had literally watched it maybe a week before I listened to your episode.
Really, Quentin?
It wasn't like you clued me in. I watched it and I'm like, oh, you guys are doing TV movie thrillers, great, and oh my God, they're going to talk about Hotline. Hey, Brian.
We need that at the start of the episode. Just you doing that, hey, Brian.
That's got to be one of your running things.
Yeah, hey, Brian. I know, I agree.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian. It's me. I've done some bad things. Well, if you want me to help you, you've got to tell me what kind of bad things.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, why I can.
That was also an interesting choice to name her Brian. I loved it. I thought that was
Stop it. Stop. We explained. We have a theory on as to why her character was named Brian.
Yeah, people couldn't read, basically.
Yeah, her name, if you see the credits, the name is Brienne.
Yeah.
So solve that one, Quentin. There you go.
But so Quentin, you had seen that before, or you hadn't seen it?
No, I literally saw it the week before I listened to your show.
Oh, that's so interesting because we were
when I watched it, I mean, like I listened to your show, I think only like a month ago or so. So it wasn't like when it was on. Maybe it was when I can't remember. All right. It was that was a current one, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was recent. Yeah, it was recent. But we were just curious because we noticed, without spoiling too much, there's like some death proof stuff that you could kind of, some similarities.
Well, to me, there's more.
Yeah, see, there it is. So a couple of things, Chris. He wants to make it clear that he only saw Hotline a week before he heard them talk about it on this podcast, this Pure Cinema podcast he is now a guest on.
I mean, that seems unlikely, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the clip we just heard is from December of last year. It's odd that he goes out of his way to say he only just watched it because he's apparently not shy about appropriating the material of others. But maybe when it comes to lifting plot points, he likes to cling to plausible deniability. It's a very thin but visible line between homage and plagiarism.
Can I point something else out?
Please.
You would think someone like Quentin Tarantino, whose job it is as a director, is to pore over minutia of a film in order to get every detail right. And yet he calls into this podcast, and it sounds like he's in a men's laboratory of a train station.
Yeah, this sounds like us a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to
a little better, but
when I used to call into one of our old shows, I would set up a microphone, set up headphones. I didn't want to just call in on my phone because I knew it would sound bad. Right. We're not getting the same effort from Quentin Tarantino as when I called into, what was that, Wildfire? I don't know. Seems like an odd choice.
So at the end of the clip we just heard, one of the hosts mentions a similarity between Hotline and a film called Death Proof.
Yeah, no, I never saw Death Proof. It was like a double feature thing he did, right? One was Kurt Russell, one was that chick. What's her name? Rose McGowan.
Okay.
Am I thinking of the right movie?
I don't know. Kurt Russell is in Death Proof.
Yeah.
I know very little about this.
No, I never saw it, but yeah, it was meant to be like a double feature. They would show the Kurt Russell movie and then the Rose McGowan movie.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never saw either.
But let's explain what Hotline is. That was the film we saw last week, and Quentin pretends to have watched it a week before.
Yeah, he stumbled across
he heard
it.
these guys. Yeah, he just happened to find
fortuitously right before he called in.
So here's the plot of Hotline. Linda Carter, TV's Wonder Woman, she's stalked by a mysterious phone caller who confesses to multiple murders and ultimately threatens her life as well. The killer turns out to be a disabled former Hollywood stuntman.
Right.
Now, let me read to you IMDb's plot summary for Tarantino's 2007 film Death Proof, the Kurt Russell movie. Two separate sets of voluptuous women are stalked at different times by a scarred stuntman who uses his death-proof cars to execute his murderous plans.
Yeah. So what do you think he stole this?
I think he was inspired by Hotline, but in this case, because it's different to steal a visual, because you can count that as a parody or a reference, an homage, as he kind of tries to pass it off as. When you steal a plot point, that's kind of integral to the original work in a way that makes it actionable.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this, and here's my reasoning. When we talked about this last week as being a potential topic, you told me that it was the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that was lifted from Hotline, which turned out to not so much be the case, but also featured a stuntman as one of the main characters.
And this was the movie you watched recently, I guess in the past week.
I watched it last night.
And you liked it?
Steve, I loved it. And it's going to be something I watch over and over again. It's completely transformed the way I think about Quentin Tarantino's movies. Yeah, I mean, it was just brilliant, in my opinion.
Now, do the similarities between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hotline, do those end at the one guy being a stuntman and the other guy being a star?
I really don't think anything else of it. And I'll tell you, here's what I think, Steve. I think the idea of having a stuntman be one of your characters is just kind of a hack idea. And that's kind of how all this comes about. Because think about it. Everyone knows an actor, right? And that's one of the other characters in all these movies is his actor friend, right? But everyone knows an actor. How many people who don't live in LA have ever met a stuntman? Unless is Bam Margera a stuntman? I guess in that case,
Yeah,
I think I ran into him at some point. But really, the stuntmen how many of them are there in the world? 100, maybe. Like, it's just there aren't that many of them, and it's just not.
I would think there are as many of those as there are working star actors.
Like A-listers, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or as many who are working at one time.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like it's like a kind of a hack thing. If you're going to set a film in LA, we're going to have a stuntman in it. But, it's like, I don't know.
I just said those. Did you hear that? That was bad.
I didn't pick up on that.
That was terrible.
Thanks for pointing it out. I'm going to go back and listen.
Everybody's going to. Oh, man. So,
are we done with this audio of Tarantino calling in?
We are.
All right.
We are. Are you done talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah. I don't. I would just recommend people see it. I don't want to go on and on about it. I read the review in the New Yorker, and it seemed like that fellow was upset that it was a film made by white guys starring white guys. So I don't know that some of the reviews were on the level. I don't know. Don't be deterred
possibly
by
a social agenda.
Yeah, don't be deterred by the bad ratings.
Those like I'm from Del Rapids or something. All right. So, do you want to do this other thing we talked about doing tonight?
Well, it's either that or we go home at 9:30.
We don't have to, Chris. I know you're uncomfortable, and I don't want you to be.
Well, we might as well at least tell people what it is.
Okay. Well, apparently you're in the excitement corner. Remember the excitement corner?
Yeah. It was to your right.
Yeah, when we did the old show, the seat to my right was the excitement corner because for some reason, people who sat there as guests on the old show, they did not have as pleasant a time because they felt like I was interrogating them, like they were being grilled, whereas I'm broadcasting. I'm talking not to the people in the room. I'm talking to the people out there. I have to sound. I need a big sound. Sorry, you're sitting right next to me, but we're not actually. It's an artifice. We're not actually interacting. This isn't a chat.
Yeah, it was just the way that the studio was set up.
Right,
that you would be looking in that direction.
Yeah, and it made people very uncomfortable. And also people I know, people we know as friends, would come out of the experience feeling as though they had been attacked, when really we're just entertaining an audience, or at least I was trying to.
Well, I'm looking at the photo of this old show, and it looks like that's Friel, Dan Friel, to your right.
No, see, this was a hodgepodge of camera shots. You're actually in what was the old excitement corner.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I usually sat to your left, so I assumed that was the case here. But on the screen, I'm to the left as well, but it's just cut up that way.
You're right next to me in studio.
Okay.
In this photo, in this shot, you're far away. Shall we tell people what the passive-aggressive hour is? I mean, after all, we didn't just show up here and decided we should be talk show hosts.
Right.
We've been at this a long time.
10 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 years. Well, I mean, it's not my story to start because I was not there at the beginning. Well, I sort of was, but...
Well, without boring people, we were part of a show called the Eric Toddcast that evolved into something called the passive-aggressive hour, and we did this for 8.5 years.
Yeah.
And the shows you're going to find out in a minute that these shows are obviously very different in style and in content.
Right.
We focus more on a single topic, TV movies of the 70s, 80s, 90s. And we tell stories out of our lives. But this was more, here's how I differentiate between the old show and the show we do now. The old show was done like radio.
Yeah.
That was more an audio-centric version.
It was almost like a morning zoo type of show, but
yeah, it did have a lot of drive time feel to it.
Yeah,
personality driven.
Right.
And the show we do now is more content driven. I look at it this way: that was a radio show. What we do now is a TV show, stylistically.
Yeah, we're kind of like Charlie Rose. I don't even know what that means, folks. I don't know.
So that's really what the passive-aggressive hour, or commonly known as TPA. I'm sure you've heard people talk about it at the water cooler all those years ago.
All those people?
All those people. Oh, jeez, Chris. It's embarrassing. 38 years.
I'm sure.
And I let that slip back in.
I'm sure I've done it at times, too.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So we had, as you can see in this picture, and can we go, Jim, can we go low and have the clip go high visually? I want to tell the folks who we have here. This was pretty much the stat. We had a couple of, Brad Beck is not in this photo, but, well, there I am, obviously, to the left. And then you have John Kensel, Johnny the K. Kensel, our main co-host. And in between, Dan, Dr. Feelgood Friel. Then you, that's Chris Morgani right there. And then on the end, Nick Doritos Guy Vollmer. And yeah. So last week, the reason why we're bringing up this old stuff is because last week after the show, you and I were talking, Chris, about this episode. I don't remember how it came up, and you don't either. And I feel like you're regretting it right now.
Yep.
But we'll deal with this if we have to. We decided, and I think it is explained in this clip, but before we do that, let's set it up just in case there's any kind of audio disparity. You had mentioned to me before this show, and this show, by the way, this was on February 2nd, 2018. It was episode 151 of the Passive Aggressive Hour. And you had mentioned to me that you had...
Wait, what was the date again?
February 2nd, 2018.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll expand upon that later. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. You had mentioned to me, I think on the show, weeks before, that you had written a love poem to your wife.
In 2018. In 2018, I mentioned this to you.
Yes.
Saying yes.
Yes.
The love poem was written, I would say, circa 2003, 2004. Yeah, one of those 2 years.
And I said, well, you should bring it on the show. You should share that with the audience because I'm an ass.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure you were keen on it, but I said, no, I have one too. I'll bring it in.
Yeah.
And you can see what I try to do to get out of this. We'll see that in a bit. But
okay.
So we both brought in our embarrassing love poems from our youth.
Yeah.
And so why don't we just dive right into this?
Okay.
And see what happened on February 2nd, 2018 on the Passive Aggressive Hour.
Before the show, Chris Morgani, you handed me something that we talked about months ago on this program. And
Sure.
It's been a while since you've been here, too.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. You mentioned it on the show. You want to tell the folks what this is?
No.
It's in a frame.
It's in a frame, yeah. So months ago, we talked about embarrassing poems that we've written for people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, can we stop it?
Yeah.
So I believe this all came about as a result of me commissioning a poem for you.
Oh, yes.
In New Orleans.
This wasn't long after my 35th year in broadcasting. And we talked about this a couple shows ago where you presented me with a poem.
Yeah. That I had written specifically for you by a professional poet.
Yeah.
Which you crumpled up and threw in the waste.
$5. I did not crumple it up. I believe I still have it somewhere, to be honest.
Okay.
But I did, again, free verse. Make something rhyme. That would impress me. And
I don't
barely legible. Now, you took issue when I said it was barely legible.
It was typewritten.
Yes, it was typewritten, but the ribbon had to be changed.
Yeah.
The ribbon was in need of a replacement.
Well, the thing about street poets is they're all about kitsch. So they're using like a 1940s whatever Hemingway used to write on, I think, is what he was using.
All right. So shall we continue?
And this is something that I wrote for my wife years ago. And at the time, I remember telling you that I haven't looked at it since, which is absolutely true. I couldn't tell you what is on there.
But it's in a frame, so I assume this is displayed in your domicile.
It's displayed on our bed frame.
Oh, wow.
We have like a bookshelf type of bed frame.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what's to make this even more embarrassing than it needs to be is that my wife told me, because when I told you, I said, like, I thought it would be just like read once and disposed.
Right.
and now it's in a frame. And she told me that I was the one that put it in a frame.
Well,
so at some point I was proud of this, and I can't imagine at what point that was, but at some point I guess I thought it was something.
And this was how long ago was this? You wrote this?
It was like the first few years we were together. So
okay,
like,
if you don't mind me asking, just can you estimate your age at this point?
mid-20s.
Okay, mid-20s. Well, that's fair enough. I think that's nothing to be ashamed of. You're in the mid-20s. You're in love.
I was in love, yes.
You were in love. You had a gal who it turned out you were going to commit to spend the rest of your life with.
Sure, so far.
You
Yeah,
have a
so far.
child?
Yes.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is a happy, this is the genesis of a very happy tale, in my opinion.
Sure. Now, before you embarrass me, can I point out that you have laminated show notes? How did that happen? Did you go to Staples and have those things laminated?
Oh, I've been to Staples. Only Dan understands what that means. No, I do tape my show notes to. Yeah, okay.
Okay, can I pause and explain that? Because I feel that needs explanation.
Yeah,
and I don't know
it
why
sure
you
does.
felt the need to criticize it. But what I used to do is I had card paper, and my show notes would be printed on the card paper. But I'm sorry, it wouldn't be printed on the card paper. It would be printed on white paper.
Okay.
And I would cut the white paper and tape it to the card paper.
Okay.
So that I'd be able to sort through everything more easily.
I mean, I believe that's how David Letterman used to do it as well. So I think you were just adopting his thing, right?
Well, it's
you would have the blue cards, or maybe I'm thinking of Leno. I don't know, but they would turn those blue cards around, and you could see there was stuff like glued to them.
Yeah, well, everyone had the blue cards because white cards mess with the camera. I don't think that happens so much anymore. You need to white balance 40 times. If a light bulb blows out, you have to spend the next 37 hours white balancing.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens anymore. But at the time, yeah, that was something that was a concern.
Oh, I didn't know that.
For
Okay.
television production. But again, we weren't doing this as a television show. This was meant for, I think Stitcher was our biggest
Right.
crowd. So,
Well, you know, I'm just, as they say, having a piss at you. Is that the expression? Taking the piss at you?
Oh, taking the piss out of me?
Something like that. I don't know. I'm attacking you because I'm about to be supremely embarrassed.
No, there's no reason to be embarrassed.
It's,
Chris.
I'm talking about me back in the 2018. I'm deflecting.
I see what you're saying. That's your move. You want to make it clear that as big as a dork as you're about to reveal yourself.
Believe me, if
I'm a bigger dork.
I would have attacked anyone doing anything to deflect from what's
Why
about
did
to
you
happen.
agree to do this on the night?
Why did I agree to do this last week? What? Why am I even here?
All right, let's see what happens next.
They're going on the bed frame tonight.
My laminated cards. Thank you, Doritos guy.
That Chris Bergani wrote to the soon-to-be, I guess at the time she was soon-to-be your wife?
Yeah, we were probably engaged at that point.
And so this is a wedding gift?
No, it was before the wedding. It was very early on in the relationship.
Pretty early on?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was it too early for this to have, was it early enough for this to have been weird?
No.
No,
that
you
would
moron.
be weird
He
at
just
any
said
time.
we were engaged.
Because it's so bad, I assume.
I haven't always been this fantastic, folks.
Well, I mean, I asked her, do you mind if I read this on the show? And she said no, so I don't think she has any problem with it.
Was she awake when you asked her?
Does she mind if I read this on the show? Did you ask her that?
I assume she's fine with it.
Okay, okay. All right. Are you ready for this? There's no title for this, I see.
No, there's no.
Do you want to give it a title? Let's give it a title.
Footprints too?
How about remember when he was on ice skates? That'd be it.
Okay, now this is in the days when I had to do practically everything myself, so it takes me a minute to pull up the audio we're about to hear.
Audio? What's the audio?
Oh, no, please.
Well,
Oh.
I wrote this thing for you, Agent. I don't know. Maybe you like it. I'll just read it because remember when we was on ice skates? And I thought you were supposed to be great, but I kept giving you lip. You kept trying to slip so I could catch you. And And that was our first date. And after that, every day was great. So now I want you to know that wherever you go, Atlantic City or in the snow, don't worry about a thing. Because as long as I got this ring, I'll always be there to catch you.
Okay.
That's from a...
See, now, now once again, I'm deflecting. Hey, you know who else was a shitty poet? Rocky Balboa. Because I remember that was my idea to play that. So,
yeah, yes, it was.
Yeah.
Mentally...
But it turns out, though, that's probably better than my poem. Remember when we was on ice skates? I should just type that out and given it to my wife, and she probably would have been like,
Well, I think we can let the audience decide who's the better poet, Rocky Balboa, Chris Morgani, or the Bull. Let us know in the comments, as Chet Huntley used to say to David Brinkley. I think that was their sign-off on the nightly news.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to come back as Robert Frost as a write-in.
That's Rocky 2. That's Rocky 2.
That's the one where they have a drunk frog that recites.
Hey Rocky, ti vogliono qua di fronte. Che succede? Tua moglie sta male.
Steve accidentally left on YouTube, and it sounded like the Spanish or Italian version of Rocky. I'm going to make you eat one thunder and crap lightning.
Do you want to hear Chris Morgani's poem to his wife? Not his wife at the time, but
absolutely.
The gal he was
Brass tacks, Chris, coming up.
engaged to, and eventually married. Okay, you ready? I might have a hard time seeing this.
Should I set the mood
for
here?
this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna
come
say,
on.
should I get some romantic music?
Yes, please.
Up
Let's do
here.
that. Let's do that.
I'm pretty sure mine doesn't mention Atlantic City, but I give him props
Java
on
by
it. That
Al
was
Hurt
solid.
is really good.
Can we get away with that though? We have to.
Let's say
do some-
royalty free.
royalty free.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Romantic music. You know.
Okay. I'm trying to make
we-
David Zakaitis.
do we have a
South
music
Dakota
bank we can
royalty.
use?
He doesn't want to accept the endorsement.
Like
The only endorsement he's
Can we pause?
received.
I made reference there to my endorsement of David Zokaitis from Mayor of Sioux Falls. Now,
Okay.
this was the night before I had introduced him to our audience and endorsed him. This night we did this. The next week we talked to him on the phone, and he accepted my endorsement, and everything was fine until he didn't get on the ballot because he wasted his time talking to us.
Right.
Instead of collecting the signatures. So this is kind of an interesting time in show history. If you want to fold all the shows together, like the Montreal Expos and the Washington Nationals, it's the same history.
Right. Although there was a lot more people talking over each other in this previous version than there is now.
Well, yes, that's true.
A lot of mics going on there.
It's very true. So that's what I start to talk about here. Now, the voice you heard suggesting, how about some background music? I believe the person who brought that up first was Jeff Spaghetti Vetter Simmons.
Oh, okay.
Now, Spaghetti Vetter was the first in a triple line of engineers we've had with food-based nicknames we've given them.
Well, no, Hamboy gave himself that nickname.
Okay, that is true.
And we have since decided we're just going to call you Jim. Because, and I came to that, I don't know how you came to that conclusion,
Right.
but I came to it when I was telling someone about the show, and I said, well, Hamboy did this, and they're like, wait. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to say I'm part of a show with Hamboy. So when I say Jim and Steve's told me this, then it sounds like I'm actually doing something here.
And we're also, in a way, we're proud of what we did in the past, but we're trying to mature and grow.
Right.
And also become, like we relate, as I related earlier, the difference between the old show and this show was radio versus television. I would also relate it to 1230 network versus 1130 network. We're now 1130.
I don't think so.
Well, that's the standard I'm holding for myself, Chris.
Okay.
If you don't feel we've done that, then pick it up. Take it to town.
I don't know if that's a standard I want. Do they normally use puppets? Puppets are 1230 stuff, Steve.
Okay. Have you watched The Tonight Show in the last 5 years?
Oh, good point. No,
Yeah.
I have not.
All right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We are who we are, and we're proud of all we've done.
Most of it. Not what you're about to hear.
Oh, you have every right to be, Chris. I have it. I printed it up again last night, and I'm still impressed by your poetry.
Oh, all right.
You don't agree?
Well,
You're hard on yourself. You're your own harshest critic, Chris.
No, I know you're being tongue in cheek, but you know we're going to play yours after.
No,
this,
I'm not
so.
because I can see the verse right here, and most of it rhymes. I'm not sure she was aware of that, but I see that most of it rhymes.
Probably not. No, she had a bit of a intelligent person, but she had a bit of a block when it came to recognizing rhyme scheme.
Really smart gal. But I've never heard of that before. I've never heard of that being a disability.
Neither had I.
But you discovered at some point that she was unable to determine words that rhyme.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if I'm wrong, call up Marcia. Prove me wrong. I don't know.
Okay. So now we're... All right. Anyway.
She might take exception to that, but...
Well, I hope so. I would like an explanation for that because, as I said, in my
how do you explain
medical opinion, I don't think that's something that happens.
I don't know. It could be the equivalent of being like tone deaf, you know?
Possibly.
I don't know.
I guess that's what it is. So I will
look
say...
at me. I'm deflecting again. You know who else is a shit poet? My ex-wife.
Oh, man. So I feel like I was going to make another point, but I've forgotten by this point. So let's see what happens as we continue.
Oh, this is really...
Maybe the only one he does receive during this campaign, and no response from the Zacchaeus
See, I'm still talking
campaign.
about my endorsement of David Zacchaeus.
Okay, here
Let's
we
pause
go.
for another second.
Yeah, and why does it look like everyone else is sitting normally, and I look like I'm on a ship about to capsize?
I think you're uncomfortable.
You
are in the excitement corner.
Yeah, I don't know. Why am I sitting like that? Or whatever. It doesn't matter.
I think you're uncomfortable.
I guess.
So one thing I didn't conclude is our string of engineers with food-related nicknames.
Oh, right. Who was the third one? I don't remember.
Well, we had Spaghetti Vetter, who was operating things on this episode. You're going to hear a lot from him. And that was because he was a chunky guy who was a Pearl Jam fan.
Yeah.
So the great stand-up comic Dave Permiano gave him that nickname.
Oh, that's who it was?
And then when we moved on to the next place, we had a kid. He was basically a kid, like 25 or something.
Oh, Taylor.
Right.
But
I refused to call a grown man Taylor.
So we called him Taylor Ham.
No.
Oh.
T-Bone.
T-Bone.
T-Bone. I called him T-Bone.
T-Bone.
And then, of course, we got here, and Hamboy is now in control of things. But he is Jim, officially Jim. All right, so let's hear more as the music is piped in.
By the way, we also have a poem that Steve wrote, which I hope we get to.
Deflecting again.
We might run out of time.
Can I change the music real quick because this isn't very romantic?
Okay, please. You didn't care for that? No.
I didn't care.
This
is turning me on at all.
An executive decision on behalf of Jeff Spaghetti Vetter Simmons. There we go.
Read it over the David Z for Mayor song.
I miss you every time you go away. Okay, I have to stop you right here. Are these Hall Notes lyrics you just played? I miss you every time you go away. If for 2 weeks or even for the day. All right, not bad. He misses her. He's in love with the gal. And he misses her. He doesn't like to be apart from her. Okay, continuing. There's not a place that cannot be improved. There's not a cloud that cannot be removed. When you arrive with great sincerity, displaying kindness with no parody.
Okay, can we weird, Chris. That's parody, not like a spoof. That's parody like unequal, without parody. Sincerity and parody do not rhyme. But again, I'm sure his ex took no notice. Okay.
Hold on a second.
Oh, we have a request to hold on a second.
It does rhyme. It ends with arity.
Sincerity and parody.
Arity.
Arity.
That's the end of both words.
Parody.
That's rhyming.
It does not rhyme.
How is it not rhyming?
Sincerity, that's E-R-I-T-Y. Parody is A-R-I-T.
You're talking about spelling. You're talking about spelling. You're not
I'm
talking
saying
about the
that
sound
they're
of
pronounced
it.
differently. You're
Right.
splitting
Look,
hairs.
Marcia, That's
Okay.
not how rhyming works.
Okay.
It's the sound of things, not the spelling.
Okay. All right. I pronounce those words differently.
How do you? Let me hear you pronounce it.
Parody, sincerity. You hear the vowel sound?
Can we
The
go
third to last vowel
Can
sound.
we go to an impartial judge here?
I do count and scale, so I'm on your side.
Yeah.
See, he's on my side, but he backs it up.
He's
to a
on his
point.
side. He's on your side because you're both morons. That's not fair. This is an unfair battle.
Majority wins.
Yeah. Hey, look at the U.S. government. I mean. All right.
So, are you gone again? You don't want to hear the rest of your poem?
Yeah, I'm gonna go have a cigarette.
Oh no, Jim. He wants us to play this without him.
Parody and a love poem. It's a weird term to invoke. I know. Okay, you can put that down. Chris is already looking at my list.
Yeah. Similar mistakes. Similar mistakes.
Okay, final stanza.
Oh, God.
So when I say I need you by my side, I don't mean others should not be so denied. Okay, that's good. You're not possessive. That's a gal likes to hear that, right? That's what you were saying?
I don't know.
And only that I love you very much, and long to see you, and to feel your touch. Well, that's fantastic. That's
Yeah, beautiful.
Wonderful stuff there.
So, interesting postscript. All that. Are we ready for the postscript, or do you have some commentary on it?
No, we can do the postscript.
That was February of 2018.
Right.
July of 2018. I was told divorce was in the works, so it was that close to the end when all this happened. And yeah.
Well, I would think that would make you feel more distant toward the poetry we just heard.
No.
As far as being embarrassed by it.
No, because it's one thing to say, well, I had deep feelings for this person, so yeah, I did this embarrassing thing. Like, frankly, I'm embarrassed anytime I see people dancing. I'm embarrassed for them. So, but I would dance with someone I'm in love with, I guess. But it makes it more embarrassing once you remove the emotion of it. It's just bad poetry. So yeah, that's awful. That's all I have to say about
Well,
that.
I'm sorry you feel that way. I think you're taking the wrong attitude. First of all, it was an act of not just love, but also artistry. And when the love is gone, it still exists as a work of art.
People shouldn't write poetry. Now, first of all, nobody reads poetry. People stopped reading poetry sometime in the early 20th century, I would say. Once recording music came about, there was no need for poetry anymore. People continue to write it, but nobody continues to read it. But everyone acts like Maya Angelou is great. Really? How many people have actually bought a Maya Angelou book? And name one other modern poet. Is she even still alive? I don't know. Name one other modern poet. Poetry's useless.
But you're talking about it as a commercial entity. When you take the time to write something thoughtful and heartfelt to someone you care about, and that can be appreciated on a one-to-one basis.
Here's the thing. How many people, though, even people who have the desire, are actually going to be good at it? 1%? It's like any other pursuit. How many people are actually good at it? 1%? It means 99% of the people doing it shouldn't be doing it. I don't know.
So you're just anti-poetry. You're embarrassed because you participated in an art form that you denigrate as being useless.
This is the equivalent to me of me walking up in the 7th inning of a Yankees game and being like, I got it, guys. Put me up to bat. I got this.
Oh, well, yeah, see. Now you know how I feel.
I don't even know what you're going with there.
Just talking about, like, have you seen other shows? Oh. All right. Well, anyway. So you, I guess, would you say released, published? You allowed this poem to get out into the...
Oh, God, what are you saying? It's in the public domain now?
Well, no, I'm saying...
What's going on?
I'm saying...
Is this on a Hallmark card somewhere?
You allowed me to read your poem on the old show. Right. So it was, there are people who did hear this.
Right. Okay.
All right. And part of the purpose of you doing that, I think part of the reason was that I agreed to read something I had from my past.
Yeah.
And shall we see if I did that? Let's continue with this video.
And you can't argue with success. You can't argue with success. It sealed the deal. You're still married to this woman. You have a child together, and it's been a happy ending.
Pause it, please. Yeah, that doesn't age well. That comment doesn't age well.
Well, it didn't. It ultimately did not work out.
Right. Maybe it was the poem. If only I'd written a better poem. Might still live in my own house.
Now, and can I say this? You think you're more
embarrassed? My daughter to McDonald's today. First time I've seen her in a month. If only I'd written a better poem.
You're breaking my heart, Chris.
I'm breaking my own heart.
Now, you say that poetry shouldn't be written.
Right.
And especially, it makes you feel worse about the poem because the relationship didn't work out. Now, George Harrison did not die married to Patty Boyd. Is something not a great song?
Here's who should be writing poetry. If you are the lead guitarist of the Beatles or a comparable band, go ahead and write some poetry and use them as lyrics. Don't write it onto a piece of white note printer paper and put it in a frame. See, on this side is Gallant. That's George Harrison writing something. And on this side is Goofus, Chris Morganti, printing out on a work computer something to put in a $2 frame from the dollar store.
Okay, well, that's a great analogy. Shall we see if we hear my poem?
I gotta say, I did not look at that since I gave it to her. I picked it up and never looked at it. It's it's not as bad. It's still douche chill, but not as bad as I.
It's a very beautiful frame.
That's the guy who's still in love right there, saying it's not that bad. In 2022, Chris is saying no, it was really bad.
So you're looking at it solely from an artistic perspective now.
Yeah.
And not the effect it had on your life.
Void of emotion.
Now, when you presented her with this, what was her reaction?
I don't remember.
I didn't ask you that night.
Yeah,
you don't remember?
No, I don't remember.
So obviously it wasn't memorable.
No.
She probably just kind of brushed it off and was like, all right, well, that's nice.
She was probably embarrassed and didn't want to embarrass me, is probably what happened.
Well, that's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
All right.
Apparently I bought that myself.
Very nice.
Probably at Kohl's.
You know,
fantastic poem.
That reminds me of when I had my girl.
When you met Shelley Winters at the boat show.
That's how I got this scar. No, they.
Okay, stop.
That was a great line, Steve.
John Kensel had a penchant for, and he still does, and they're great stories. But he's met a lot of celebrities, and he talks about he likes to talk about his encounters with celebrities. But usually, it's people less famous than he is.
Yeah.
Who he pays to have photographs taken with. So I thought he was going to go in that direction, but what he said is actually relevant. Let's hear some more.
Okay.
When I lived with my ex-girlfriend, I felt my deal was cemented with her. Like really, when we bought that "Live, Love, Love, and Laugh" poster from that, who makes that thing? American Decorator thing. People you have in her house. I think
Spencer's
this is it.
Gifts.
Yes, yes. You know, it says it's you've been in people's houses. You know. And you flip it over, it says, like, save gas, fart in a jar. Like, you can use it for fat, double-sided poster. But,
reversible.
Yeah, but I thought that poem cemented our relationship. And it, not till she met, like, bass players and cover bands did it go to heck.
Maybe you should have got the cat with the hang in there.
Yes. I really wanted the one where someone threw spaghetti in the baby's face.
That was a tough sell, I think. Oh, man. Well, I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Chris, for sharing that with us. I greatly appreciate it.
Can we pause? I don't know if people were following what went on there. That was funny stuff John was talking about, you know, like the live, laugh, love, and whatever, all that kind of stuff.
Inspirational posters.
But he often makes reference to, and I assume it's true, should I even say about the?
I don't know. He did have a relationship. Can I try and you can tell me if it's appropriate to what you're trying to get to? John, our co-host here, he did have a relationship with a woman who played Stevie Nicks in a Fleetwood Mac cover band.
Right.
And that relationship didn't end well. Now, he has intimated, and it's kind of become a reference point in his life and on the old show that that she left him for a bass player in a Journey tribute band or something like that.
Yeah, who he found naked in
his closet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with John, you just don't know.
You don't know if it's
that
true.
That may have happened, and if so, that's a shame. We do know the relationship didn't last. But what we don't know is whether it ended the way he says it does.
Yeah, now that we're talking about it, that is a great move. As we said, deflecting. Why not make up a funny way that something ended instead of the real way, which was probably tragic? She probably just left him and he sat in a lazy boy crying for an hour.
Right.
We don't want to tell that story.
No.
Right.
It's much more interesting to say somebody playing a guy in a Journey tribute band was hiding in his closet.
Yeah. I'm going to have to come up with one of these stories.
Appreciate that. So I guess, I guess we're done for tonight. Dan Friel, plugs. Anything you want to talk about? We haven't talked about.
Yeah, talk about deflecting. Here I am.
Okay, well,
I'm trying to end the show.
Trying to end the show. Yeah.
Oh wait, I could do it. There we go. That's much better. Laminated. I should have laminated.
What are you trying to do here, Chris?
I don't know. We got time?
I don't know, Jeff. How are we doing on time?
We can make time. I'm going to find some more romantic music. Acoustic guitar.
Well, I don't think we need that because John's going to tell another story about L.A.
Okay, pause. So earlier in the show, John was talking about he lived out in L.A. for about a year, doing comedy, being an extra on a lot of TV shows. He was on How I Met Your Mother, 24, that sort of thing.
Okay.
And he came back for family reasons, but he was talking about his experience in L.A. and doing comedy and all the things you have to do to kind of survive as a comedian in Los Angeles. So during this part of the show, I'm trying to stall, and I say, because I don't want to do my poem. So I say, well, John's going to tell us more about L.A. Now, when I ask John this question, watch him jump at the chance.
Oh.
It's like, and for John Kensel of Philadelphia, opportunity knocks. Watch this.
Did you find the traffic difficult to navigate? Or?
Awful. It's the worst traffic in the world.
How was the smog? Was there a lot of smog?
In the valley there is. I remember I went to an open mic night with friends of the show, Steve Zarbalis, and we were driving on that highway, the 405 or 101.
Okay, I think that's fine. We're going to jump ahead in a minute, but yeah. So I'm trying to stall.
Yeah.
Now, in John's mind, and I love John, he's a friend of ours. But when I ask him how the traffic was in L.A., why would he think that would be a question anyone is interested in the answer to?
Right.
But to him, it's, oh, man, the traffic? Oh, let me tell you about the traffic.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't, I don't know. Maybe he was stalling so that Jeff Spaghetti Vetter could find the right music. I don't know.
Yeah, I doubt that, Jeff. I doubt that, Chris. Okay, can we skip, Jim, to 1137? And in the meantime, Chris, what are you going to say?
No, I'm ready to hear this poem. Now, do we set this up?
Oh, no, we're not there yet. Here's another stalling tactic. No audio. Oh, okay.
He was probably thinking something.
How was the food out there, John?
Not a big. Oh, In-N-Out Burger. Oh, there's a place out there. You've probably seen T-shirts of it.
Kids in the In-N-Out Burger.
It's called Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. Danny,
we went there. Yeah.
Oh my God! You remember thinking?
Now stop. I asked the question. John hears laughter. Nothing in his mind says, "Well, that's not a very funny question." The laughter must signify that something else is going on. But,
right.
Again, we love John, and he just okay. So, if you want to hear, shall we hear the poem? I'm fine. We've done a long show tonight, Chris. I don't mind if we just go home.
Yeah, no, we're finishing this.
Two textures would go together. It's fried chicken and
great.
I've never been most uppity people you'll ever meet, right?
But I wasn't a big fan of Mexican food out there, and all my friends they love getting Mexican food every night. And I would go to the local Taco Bell, and they'd be all getting, Freddie Friends burgers and stuff, and Cheech Marin waffles and stuff. And so I would go.
Yeah. So I think we should skip to 1509 if we want to get to the actual poem. Are you sure you want to do this, Chris? We don't have to do. You don't have to do this to me. Here we go.
Well, in that case, I think we did it. We did a full show. We got everything in we wanted to get in. And I think we made it happen. I think tonight's show has been a success, a special Friday night, late night program. We started at
Here I am again trying to end the show.
Yeah, I think
you're not going to let me get away with it, are you, Chris?
We brought our A game this evening, and we got to everything we intended to get to, and that's what makes me happiest.
Oh, I think we have one open item, don't we? Don't we? How old were you?
What are we talking about here?
This poem I have in front of me, how old were you?
The poem you have in front of me, I wrote, I think I was...
Yeah, I was so nervous. I repeated the poem you have in front of me or something like that. I completely switched the pronouns. Okay, let's continue.
It's maybe 19 or 20. No. You know what? I actually had to be 18. This was my first year in college. And I had this crush on this girl in one of my classes. And,
You could just never find a word that rhymed with obese.
That's not very
nice. Why don't we just leave it alone? You want to just leave it alone?
Leave it alone.
I think we can leave it at that. Unless you actually do want to share this poem with the world.
Your call.
Let's hear what we got here.
Okay, well, let me tell you a little more about the backstory. When I say I wrote a poem for her, that's misleading. I imagine these being song lyrics, and not just song lyrics.
Were they a please song?
No. You're not going to believe this. Song lyrics in the style of Garth Brooks.
Oh, God.
Now, that leads to an obvious assumption. People will think, well, she must have been a huge Garth Brooks fan. To which I'd say, well, you're half right.
Is there a comma in that sentence?
Huge Garth Brooks fan.
But the fact is, I had no idea if she was a Garth Brooks fan. She inspired Garth Brooks-esque lyrics from me, and that's all it was. I had no idea at the time or even now if she is a Garth Brooks fan. And another thing to keep in mind, and Chris, do you want to read this?
It's your show, dude. Tell me to read it or not. I
don't. What Chris is going to read, I want you to keep this in mind. The title of this work is Touch. And that's why I noticed...
I'm sorry. What was it?
Okay, Touch. It had a title.
Touch? Okay.
You incorporated the term touch. It's the last word of your love poem.
Hey, you made use of touch at the end of your poem.
Okay. I thought it would have been funnier if it had been touched with an ED, and it was just about you being molested as a boy, and then we'd all feel awful from joking about it. That would have been a great turn.
That would have been a
show with.
That would have been a swerve. For sure.
I feel like this is what we would do now. In some ways, the show has evolved. And, yeah.
Well, 12:30, 11:30.
Yeah.
We're very sensual people, Steve.
Should I get some country music to play over this? Not romantic music?
Oh, you can do whatever you want, Jeff.
Some
Is there country instrumentals?
There's something else I should really point out. This love poem was inspired by an incident where this gal I had the crush on, she tapped me on the shoulder to ask me a question about an assignment. Now, I'm telling you, this was not one of those, hey, I think this guy kind of likes me. I'll just tap him on the shoulder. We'll start a conversation. Open up the pathways of communication. No. I had information, and she needed that information. That's all this was.
Did you even say a word to her, ever?
Well, I answered her question.
Was that the only words that you ever spoke to her?
So that very night I went home and I wrote these words down while during that same night she was probably out banging the man cow.
Now,
Wait,
Steve,
did
this
she-
was in high school or college?
This was college, yeah.
Okay.
Ever see this or hear this?
She never saw this. No.
Oh, I'm
No.
sure she's a listener, so this will be like a
Closure.
great memory for her.
And
Yeah.
for reasons that will come up later, I kind of hope she isn't. But if you would like to read, regale the folks with my work of art, I like to consider it a work of art, called Touch.
Okay, now, Chris.
Yeah.
You're about to read my poem.
Yeah. Now, my feelings on mine have been made clear at this point. How do you feel going in before we hear any of it?
Well, it's more the situation that embarrasses me. But this person is anonymous. I'm kind of it's different for me because I was never married to this person.
Right, but you just made reference to it being a work of art, whereas I said there's no way I should have ever put pen to paper. Do you feel like this is, as I did, remove the emotion, and do you feel like this is something that
Removing the
should be heard?
emotion, Garth Brooks could go into a studio tomorrow, record this, and it would be a number one.
Okay, would he call it Pothole in the Road of Dreams instead of Touch?
Well, we haven't exactly.
'Cause I feel like that should have been the title.
We haven't heard the poem yet.
I really feel like that should have been the title, but okay, let's have a listen.
Well, see, Chris likes it so much, he's suggesting an alternate title.
Yeah.
All right.
Every bit of worry, every bit of pain brings to me more thunder, bringing down more rain. But if a touch could change the pattern and make
All right,
this...
Can we stop? I'm butchering your poem, dude. I'm apologizing now for something I did 4 years ago. I'm butchering your poem. I'm going to have the words right here in front of me.
Yeah.
I'm hearing me say them. They're not the same words, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry I did that to you, man.
Well, no, I don't think that had any effect on the reaction.
But it's wrong.
Or your experience.
It's wrong. Obviously, I got there early that night. Oh, we used to go to...
we stayed at the undisclosed location.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What was
No, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely used to get there early.
Yeah.
Skies turn blue. That touch could only be a touch administered by you.
Okay, let me stop you there.
All right,
stop you there.
We stop.
I think you're going to say what you said those years ago.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm more embarrassed how I read this poem than I am about writing my own poem now. Now, I didn't think it was possible to embarrass me more than I was at the beginning of the show. Now I'm more embarrassed.
Oh, Chris.
This is awful.
You're fine. You're fine.
This
because I remember this, and I don't remember thinking, oh, Chris really screwed up my magnum opus.
This is poetry read by a drunk. That's what this is.
In the history of country music, I defy anybody to scour the vast archive of lyricism in the history of country music and find one incident of the word administered appearing in a
you're also
country
missing
song.
your dog dying, a pickup truck, and old dirt road.
Oh, no, he's
All right,
not.
can we
No,
pause?
he's not.
That was Spaghetti Better, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, man, I'm not going to be unkind. We should just move on.
Well, no, Chris, you introduced something. I think it needs to be seen through. You can soften it up a bit.
So he was a producer.
Yeah.
Because if one of the guests had made a comment like that, I don't know that they would have been asked back. Yeah. All right. We can move on.
Get some laughter there. Yeah, but see, here's the thing. Can I say this? He might not have had the biggest success rate, but he had a success rate.
Okay.
As far as chiming in. So
Okay.
I think that's a little unfair to criticize him for that comment. I
Fair
don't know why
enough.
he made it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 22 or something at the time. He was ridiculously young.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Okay, so let's continue.
Each time I hit a pothole on the road of dreams, I'm steaming out the ears and bursting at the seams. Money cannot buy me the comfort that you give. You touch me and you make my life easier to live.
Okay, Chris, stop.
It's weird because you didn't know this girl. though,
I
right?
can't stress this enough. The touch in question was a light tap on the shoulder, followed by.
Do you have any Nutella?
Yeah, John said, "Do you have any Nutella?"
Basically,
that was the question.
Very funny.
You want to read the next stanza, as it were?
Where's the music, Jeff? And if you ever have it happen, and I hope you never do, that all the dreams that you've been chasing never do come true. And if you find yourself in pieces and life won't set you free.
Pause. Okay. There's a Garth Brooks album called The Chase and a Garth Brooks album called In Pieces.
Yeah.
And I got them both into those this stanza.
Were you deliberately copying Garth Brooks?
Well, it was as Quentin Tarantino would say, it's an homage to Garth Brooks. I'm expressing my own feelings through the use of other people's work.
Yeah. I like the next part where you talk about a stuntman murdering a woman. All right, let's keep going.
Right. I hope my touch.
I butchered that line, by the way.
Why do you say that?
Because it says, if you find yourself in pieces and life won't set you free. That's the line.
Yeah.
I said, and if you, why I added an and because I'm a drunk idiot.
It's fine. Do you really think it matters? You're going to let that bother you?
No, you know what? You're right. Why should I? You know what? Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna own it.
If anything,
you know
it makes me look like a horrible writer.
I was at a bar for 3 hours before we went and shot this. And I drank the whole time. And I was under emotional duress because they were reading the poetry. Yeah. You know what? I am going to own it. I was drunk and I butchered your poem. And I already apologized. Let's move on and yeah.
That's the way to do it. All right.
Equal the power of yours on me.
Okay, stop.
It's also important if you're writing a love poem to point out that, all those things you hope for are probably not going to happen. I mean, let's be honest.
Okay, I believe
you're cribbing notes off the guy in front of you. You're probably not going to be a high achiever in life.
You know, for a man in a drunken state, very observant.
Yeah, I don't know if we saw these beforehand and wrote stuff or this is off the cuff.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, I think there's a fourth and final stanza to this.
Every time I fall down, you're there to help me stand, reaching out your love by reaching out your hand. Regardless of how little, regardless of how much, the love I need does not exceed the love within your touch.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, Steve.
Did you at least enjoy the internal rhyme in the last?
It's pretty good.
I thought that was pretty good. I have a couple of postscripts to the story. As we mentioned earlier, never showed this to her. Pretty sure the tap on the shoulder was the first and only interaction we ever had. Years back, out of curiosity, I did kind of when I first joined Twitter. I think I tracked her down on Twitter, and I don't know for sure. But the impression I got from her tweets was that she became a stripper.
Oh. Okay, pause. Who has the better postscript?
Wow.
You can make a case for either. But which one of us has the better postscript?
I mean, wow. Those both took swerves, huh? How about that?
All right, there's only a little more left. We should hear the rest.
So she has kids.
And you know, whatever, good for her. But I have to admit, my J was a little bit guiled.
So I did add another postscript during this episode, and but I misrepresented.
Okay.
In a way. So I'd like to correct that without showing what I actually said, because I did admit to kind of regifting that poem. Yes.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
That's not cool. To who?
Well,
to whom?
Well, I think you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have an inkling. How was it received?
And I said it was a little
put in a frame?
You know what? I believe it was. But I not by me.
Yeah.
To my credit. But I also, when I gave it to her, she read it and she said, you know, this isn't really about me. It's about you.
Yeah.
And she was dismissive of it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I would say, taking a cursory glance at it right now, She might be right. There's a lot of I.
Yeah.
Each time I reach a pothole on the road of dreams, every time I fall down, I hope my touch. But if you ever have it happen, these are things that you do for me that I'm appreciative of, and I hope that I can do the same for you. Did you explain to her that you wrote this for a girl that you talked to once?
No, I didn't.
And it's well, this is the girl I hope to meet someday. And it turns out it was you until the whole Houston whatever. was it Houston where she went for a haircut?
No, it was Austin. I had an ex, and there's no real reason to go into this, but I had an ex toward the end of our relationship. She started having she started getting hair extensions, and she started traveling to Austin every few months to get these hair extensions.
Well, it must have been top notch, huh?
And they're apparently the best in the business.
Yeah.
And when the relationship ended, I was talking to we just saw Dr. Frielgood, Dan Friel, in this footage. I told him the relationship ended, and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that." And I said, "Well, it's been a long time coming." And he took a sip. He looked at me and he said, "Well, what was your first hint?" When she started to get her hair done in Mumbai.
Yeah.
So that was another thing we used to make reference to on the old show about getting one's hair done in Austin and how it's the hair extension capital of the world. And maybe something we can bring back, although I don't really see the point.
No.
Chris, anything we didn't talk about you might like to talk about?
I think we're over an hour at this point. So
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's been a while.
Flew by.
Yeah, sure did.
Well, in that case, I think we did. Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks so much, Jim. I'm Steve Rees, the Bull of American Broadcasting. Oskiwewe.
Oskiwawa.
All the back now.
Tigers.
Eat 'em raw. We did it.